Hello, so since I started making these videos a few weeks ago, I've been getting a lot of questions all about the AYN Thor. I've also seen a lot of questions online, on Reddit, on Discord, that kind of thing. So I thought what I'd do is to save repeating myself, I'm gonna pick a lot of those frequently asked questions and put them all into a nice simple presentation video. Let's get started. What is the AYN Thor? So the AYN Thor is a Android-based handheld device. It's built like a 3DS. It allows you to emulate games all the way from the classics like the Atari, all the way up to the nameless Nintendo console, the one that came out after the Wii U. Where can I buy the AYN Thor? So there are only two official places to buy the AYN Thor. There is their official website, ayntech.com, and they have an official AliExpress shop. So please make sure, if you're interested in buying the Thor, you only buy from those two sources. There's a lot of scammers out there, be mindful. Which model should I get? This is all down to personal preference and what types of games you plan to emulate. If you're someone who's a bit of a power user, you want to emulate those higher end systems and PC games, you'd want the Pro or the Max model. Personally, I have the Max model, which comes with 16 gigabytes of internal RAM and a terabyte internal storage. If you're considering the Pro model, that comes with 12 gigabytes of internal RAM and 256 gigs of internal storage. For me, if you are considering the Pro model, I'd say have a look at SD cards and see if you can get a good deal, because by the time you've bought yourself the 256 gig model and an SD card, it works out to roughly the same as it would have been just to buy the upgraded model. There is also a light and a base model. The light model comes with a different chipset, and it does struggle when it gets towards the kind of PS2 and later emulation. So if you plan on just emulating classic NES, DS, Game Boy games, and you're more budget conscious, that's the one to go for. Does the Thor come pre-installed with games? Nope, you'll have to source your own games and ROMs. There are certain handheld companies out there that do usually give you some pre-installed games. However, for legal reasons, AYN Thor will not provide you with any games, BIOS files, system files, anything like that. Can you show me where to download games from? Unfortunately not, due to them being copyrighted, and the same goes for the BIOS files. What is a front end? So a front end is just an app which acts as a nicer way to display your games, your apps, whatever you might have installed. It's just, you imagine having a box full of DVDs versus having a nice Netflix library. It's the same content, just displayed differently. There's all sorts out there. Check my channel for further information. What is the best front end? This is entirely personal preference. My personal favourite is Emulation Station Desktop Edition, or ESDE. However, a lot of people have been attracted to the AYN Thor because of front ends such as Isu or Cocoon, a lot of those kind of DS style ones. They give you a lot of customization options, so if you're into tweaking and really getting the best looking library, then Isu or Cocoon, I'd advise trying those. If you're a complete beginner who just wants one to start on, then I recommend either Daijisho or RetroFry, because they are very easy to use, very easy to set up, and it's a nice introduction to the emulation space. However, at the end of the day, it's all down to personal preference. Some of the front ends are paid, most of them are free. Again, check my channel, I've covered all the ones I've found so far. Do front ends affect game performance? Nope, the way front ends work is you install your emulators, so they are apps which are designed to run those games. Some of them are covered by an app called RetroArch. Others have specific apps. For example, there's DuckStation, which handles PS1 games. There's NetherSX2, which handles PS2. There's Melon DS. There's all sorts out there. Basically, the front ends act as a middleman. They will take your games and pass them to the relevant emulator. They have no impact on the game's performance. Can you please show me where to download games from? Still no. They are still copyrighted since the last time you asked. Is emulation illegal? Now, I'm not a lawyer, obviously. Look at me. But as someone who's been interested in emulation for 20 plus years at this point, it is something I thought I'd familiarise myself with, is the laws around emulation. The act of emulating a system itself is not illegal. What is illegal, however, is the downloading and distribution of copyright material. So your ROMs, your BIOS files, anything like that. So as I've said before, I will not be providing any links to any copyrighted material. Why doesn't, insert game here, work? So with emulation, there are so many factors that go into it that some games might require a little bit more tweaking than others, especially when you get to the more modern systems, and some of them, no matter what you do, they just won't work. Unfortunately, that's the nature of emulation. That's not to say they won't ever work, whether a more powerful chipset comes out or there's an update to an emulator. However, the best thing to do is, if you have a specific game that you're struggling to get working, is ask online, get involved in communities, Discord, subreddits, that kind of thing. See if anyone else has been able to get those to work, and then go from there. Can you cover a thing? I can try, by all means. If there's an app or a software or an emulator or whatever it might be, a front end that I haven't yet covered, please let me know. I'm always interested in new ideas, and especially with the release of the AYN Thor and how rapidly the emulation scene is growing. There's all sorts of new apps coming out all the time, and a lot of them I find, I just stumble across them online. I'm like, oh, this looks cool. So if there's anything specific you'd like me to cover, then by all means, let me know in the comments, message me on social media, however you want to get in touch, just let me know. And I can't guarantee that I'll be able to understand it, but I'll do my best. One thing that I cannot cover, because I have tried and tried and tried, is the Pegasus front end, because that thing is a nightmare, and the time I spent trying to get that to work, it wasn't worth it. So anything except the Pegasus front end, please let me know. What is your favourite snack and drink? Kinder Bueno and a sugar-free Monster. How get games? How can I support your channel and give you all my money so you can be rich and famous like the big YouTubers? This is a question I do get asked quite a lot in my wildest dreams. Now, if you want to support the channel, then just subscribe, comment, like, share, tell your friends. If you want to chuck a few quid my way, there is a link to a Ko-Fi and a Buy Me a Coffee in the description. You're under absolutely no obligation to do that. I am now part of the YouTube Partner Program, so I do earn a little bit of money from the ads that run on this channel, which is very helpful. But the best way to support me is just by liking, sharing, subscribing. So there we are. That was just a selection of the questions that I'd seen online or commented on my videos, so I thought I'd just put them all into one nice roundup. If there are any questions that you still have, by all means, keep dropping them in the comments. I will do these videos occasionally if I find myself getting a ton of questions. However, for the most part, I hope that most of the content on my channel answers those questions for you. If this video helped you out, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.